We are committed individuals holding many different beliefs, coming from many different places, and each progressing on our own journeys of life and faith. We join together in our commitment to care for humanity, and to shape a better, healthier, more hopeful world. Oh, children, hey, we promise to accept and encourage all those persons of goodwill who gather here, recognizing that we all continue to grow and learn throughout our lifetimes. We especially welcome and stand with LGBTQ persons, even as we seek to welcome all persons of every age, ability, status, and shade of skin pigment. We strive to make our community a place of peace and acceptance, love and nurture, even as we challenge ourselves and others to live more faithfully according to the values of Unitarian Universalism. Our children's program is led by Rosalie. Is she in here? There she is, by Rosalie, and assisted by Michaela and a group of volunteers. Children generally lead the service for the program following the story for all ages. And we invite you all to join us for lots of refreshments in Jackson Hall after the service. And there are several announcements that I'm supposed to make here that are in your order of service. Our congregational meeting is on June 25th, right after church. We're going to be adopting the budget and selecting members for several committees. Please come and join us so we can have a quorum. Book Club is meeting the last Wednesday of each month. This month they're reading Banana, The Fate of the Fruit That Changed the World. I'm tempted to read that book just because of the title. The Alliance is having their salad potluck luncheon on June 14th at 11 a.m. Please save your toiletries from your trips. We're giving them to the Haven of Peace for women who have entered the shelters. And meditation, you can read about the meditation in here. And there's going to be a Reiki training here given by Karen Parker. And if you want to read it later, there's an historical moment in here for the piano, the fun drive for the piano. Very cool. All right. Now we have some music from Daniel.
I always think it's funny to get people all riled up and then afterwards sit down.
Hello, good morning. My name is Christina Chavez Nelson, and I am your worship leader for today. The opening words are from Langston Hughes' poem, Mother to Son. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor. Big, But all the time, I've been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps, 'cause you find it's kind of hard. Don't you fall now. For I'm still going, honey. I'm still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. And now, I'd like to invite the son that gave me a mother to come up and light the chalice. Will you please read from the Metasuda the chalice lighting words which are printed in your order of service? Even
As a mother watches over her child, so with boundless mind should one cherish all living beings.
So that's still needed. Good to know. And now our choir will sing number 395 in the hymnal, Sing and Rejoice. Following that will be the opening hymn, number 1010 in the teal hymnal. You are all invited to stand as you're able for that song. And then after that, greet one another. And now, the opening hymn, We Give Thanks. Oh, and we're going to sing it twice. Two verses.
I'd like to sound, not because you weren't behaving. So I'd say for 3, right? All right, now we're going to do the words of affirmation. The children will lead us, and the adults can read the italicized part. Ready, kids?
And kids can read the adult part, remember?
Yeah, if you want to read everything, you can read everything.
Okay.
Let's go.
We believe in love.
Love is the only doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for truth is our sacrament,
We believe in helping others.
and service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity and fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures. This do we covenant, each with the other.
by Carrie Chesney.
So I think you're pretty safe in guessing that everyone here has a mother, right? How many of you have a ritual at night where you tell your parents, I love you, when you're going to bed? And they tell you the same? Have you seen this story before? It's a very popular story. Well, this is a story about two pairs, a mother and a son, who are doing their I love you ritual at night. Little nut brown hare, who was going to bed, held on tight to big nut brown hare's very long ears. He wanted to be sure that big nut brown hare was listening. Guess how much I love you, he said. Oh, I don't think I could guess that, said big nut brown hare. This much, said little nut brown hare, stretching out his arms as wide as they could go. Yeah, stretch them out. This much. Big nut brown hare had even longer arms. But I love you this much, she said. That is a lot, thought little nut brown hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said little nut brown hare. I love you as high as I can reach, said big nut brown hare. Oh, that is very high, thought little nut brown hare. I wish I had arms like that. Then little nut brown hare had a good idea. He tumbled upside down and reached up the tree trunk with his feet. I love you all the way up to my toes, he said. And I love you all the way up to your toes, said big nut brown hare, swinging him up over his head. I love you as high as I can hop, said little nut brown hare, bouncing up and down. But I love you as high as I can hop, smiled big nut brown hare. And she hopped so high that her ears touched the branches above. Ooh, that's good hopping, thought little nut brown hare. I wish I could hop like that. I love you all the way down the lane as far as the river, cried little nut brown hare. And I love you across the river and over the hills, said big nut brown hare. That's very far, thought little nut brown hare. He was almost too sleepy to think anymore. Then he looked beyond the thorn bushes, out into the big dark night. Nothing could be farther than the sky. I love you right up to the moon, he said, and closed his eyes. Oh, that's far, said big nut brown hare. That is very, very far. Big nut brown hare settled little nut brown hare into his bed of leaves. She leaned over and kissed him good night. Then she lay down close by and whispered with a smile, I love you right up to the moon and back.
Let's sing together Spirit of Life. You find the words in your order of service. And if you need the music, it's on page 123 for the hardback note.
Say
this day.
Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies.
Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause.
Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience.
We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm.
The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
And each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
And now we will share our offerings. If you are a guest, please let the plate pass you by. If you are a member or a frequent guest, then please give as generously as you are able. The choir will be singing a lovely song while this goes on.
She makes me lie down.
23rd song dedicated to my mother, Bobby McFerrin's arrangement. And a special thank you to Ian for choosing all the music. Now I have a reading. You won't find it in any of your hymnals because I either got it from the UUA website that Rosalie often mentions, or the Illumination app that Jan introduced me to, so I get these wonderful words of inspiration daily. And I don't know which one I got it from. So, it's a prayer by the Reverend Janet H. Bowering, and its title is The Many Names of Mother, Father, Parent Prayer. Blessed is the person who feeds and warms, washes and comforts a child and soothes them in illness, for they shall be called caregiver. Blessed is the person who gives shelter and food, clothing, toys, books and tools, for they shall be called provider. Blessed is the person who opens doors in the child's experience, who explains the puzzling and wonders at the mysterious, for they shall be called teacher. Blessed is the person who shields a child from that which will wither or warp, who protects a child from abuse and exploitation, who guards against bullying and scorn, for they shall be called defender. Blessed is the person who takes time to listen, who is there for a child in the darkness, who is aware of the fears, who speaks the words of encouragement in moments of despair, for they shall be called sustainer. Blessed is the person who guides a child in the search for beauty, who encourages them at what is daunting, who steadies them as they explore new experiences, who fires their aspirations and their dreams, for they shall be called inspirer. Blessed are all these persons who help bring an infant along the many paths to maturity, for in them is the future well-being of humanity. And now this sermon, I wanted 12 and other musings on motherhood. Caregiver, provider, teacher, defender, sustainer, inspire. I want to live up to the aspirations of this prayer. I want to live up to the perseverance seen in Hugh's poems. I want to live up to the beauty of the music heard today. I want to live up to the mothering I received and, fortunately, continue to receive from both of my parents. But then, when it comes to motherhood, I've always wanted a lot. I wanted 12 children. 12 children. I wanted 12 children. Well, I was a very young child myself, much younger than even Nathaniel is now, and somehow, somewhere, I got it into my head that 12 children was the perfect number to have. I obviously had no concept of time, because it didn't occur to me that if I had 12 children, I would be pregnant my entire adult life. So one day I eventually figured this out and figured I'd have to, hit on a compromise. And I came up with the idea of having 6 and adopting 6, so I could still have my 12. The idea of being pregnant my adult life apparently wasn't as attractive, but 6 didn't seem undoable. It never occurred to me in all of these ruminations of 12 that there might actually be someone else in the equation that had a different number in mind. And then when I realized I might actually have to compromise with another human being, gasp, on the number that would be okay for a happy family and living ever after, I decided on 4. 4 was familiar. 4 is a factor of 12. So, it would have to do. 4 children. My dad is the second of 4 children. My mom's the middle of 5. Close enough. So 4 seemed reasonable. 4 seemed the way to go. 4 was modeling what I knew. Besides, it was becoming abundantly clear, mostly from the looks of horror on the faces of my friends, that 12 was not a reasonable way to go. However, to this day, whenever I have a self-contained class or a period of classes, that is a multiple of the number of 12. And I've had a class of 12, and of 24, and of 36, and yes, even 48. I tend to laugh at my younger and much more naive self, and it is the time when I also very much ponder whether there is a supreme deity laughing even harder at my predicament. Be careful what you wish for. So no, I did not have 12. I have not been hiding the other 11 and just bringing the family to services. I did not adopt 6, and that's another story. I didn't even get the compromised 4. I had 1. He was a miracle. I was old. I had been under the impression, thanks to various reasons, that I couldn't have children at all. Nathaniel's name is Hebrew for blessing from the heavens, from God, the universe. Miracle. But first, before Nathaniel, I taught. And second, I theaed, and all along the way, I mothered. Because the verb form is not like the gender noun form. The verb definition is to care for a child with affection. So, by that definition alone, my father is a mother. His father, my grandfather, was a mother. And many people that you come into contact with are mothers. Now, I've had hundreds, actually, I've been teaching longer than I realized, probably have mothered thousands. And yes, even as I walked in today, my phone was ringing off the hook with former students wishing me a happy Mother's Day. I started off in traditional middle school, so you get anywhere from 150 to 200 years of kids a year, and then transitioned to elementary school, 30 plus, then back to secondary, but in an elementary setting, so the numbers are slightly smaller, 60 to 100. So yeah, probably thousands. And I got called mom more times than I can count. And sometimes I got called mother with another much more colorful experience from word onward. But that's because I teach middle school. Not unusual to hear that word. Either way, it made my day. Along the way, I also became an aunt to 10, and they call me Thea, which is Spanish for aunt. I have the longest name of all the aunts. I figured I'd never hear it, so I went the short and easy route. One of the best compliments I ever received from any of my nieces and nephews, and they are such a joy. I receive compliments all the time. Yay, my siblings for raising them right. Was from my eldest niece, Karina Deanne, who is now in Oregon, at Oregon State. The middle name is important because it's after mine. And we were both on a boat in the Bay of Islands in New Zealand, and she was about 8, so it was about 13 years ago. And we were watching the marine wildlife, not just, in the water, but in the air, and marveling at the rock outcroppings that were arching into stone edifices above the water. And the captain had told our family and the other families who'd come on the boat that if we saw a pod of dolphins, we could get in the water with them, and we could swim. Nobody had snorkeling or scuba gear, but we had our bathing suits on. Underneath our heavy sweats and coats, because it was June, which of course in New Zealand is winter time. But my siblings and I are like, we're Northern California water swimmers. That cold's nothing. Now we tested the water. It felt like San Diego. We're like, not so bad. And then the captain came on to tell us that we're not going to be able to swim with the dolphins. Because yes, there was a pod out there, but they had seen the circle that inevitably occurs when baby dolphins are born. And he went on to inform us that while the mother and child dolphin bond, a separate female relative without a baby dolphin stands guard and watches them. So the mothers and babies are in the center of the circle in their own circles, and the outer circle is surrounded by female dolphins standing guard. That female relative watches over them and protects them at all costs. So it was far too risky for the pod and far too foolhardy for the humans to dive in and interrupt this sacred bonding. And when my niece Karina heard this, she just looked up at my sister Jen, her mom, and said, "Wow, that sounds like Thea. She watches over us." Now, that is definitely an idealized version of what a mother is in our society. She's a caregiver, a protector, a martyr. She would sacrifice all for her young, and she does deserve to be appreciated. And that was the impetus behind our modern, 103 years and counting, version of Mother's Day. Unitarian Julia Ward Howe, famous for her Battle Hymn of the Republic and the reading you read, the Mother's Day Proclamation with Jan, wanted not only to abolish slavery and to work for women's suffrage, but also to have mothers from all sides of a conflict come together for peace. She was horrified by the atrocities of both the U.S. Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War, and truly believed that if women assembled regularly, once a year, to listen to sermons and prayers and sing songs and hear the music that inspired them, and that if they focused on peace, that it would come about. Many cities and congregations followed in her lead, but as an anti-war effort, it only lasted a few years and in a few places until it unfortunately dwindled out. Around the same time, Methodist Ann Jarvis was teaching women how to keep a sanitary and efficient home in hopes of lowering infant mortality rates. She worked with groups willing to nurse both sides of the soldiers wounded in the Civil War, regardless of who they represented. And after the war, she organized mothers' picnics and friendship picnics, focusing on advocating peace and bringing the fractured factions together. We could use some of that now. And when Mrs. Jarvis died, her daughter Anna Reeves Jarvis wanted to